Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about DI boxes, what they are, and what they could potentially do for your guitar tone. Hopefully, by the end of the video, you'll have the necessary info to be able to make the best decision when it comes to purchasing a DI box. However, for a lot of you, I'm going to help save you some money, because despite a lot of YouTube videos proclaiming that a DI box is going to change your entire existence as a guitarist, I'll prove to you that you actually don't need one. So let's start with what a DI box actually does. A DI box changes the signal from an unbalanced instrument level signal to a balanced line level signal, from 1/4" cable to an XLR cable. There are two different types of DI boxes, active and passive DI boxes. Passive DI boxes are transformers that perform impedance matching and balancing. For a simple piece of equipment, there are advantages. They don't add noise to the circuitry, they don't require power, and in some cases, it may actually give a desirable coloration to your signal. Active DI boxes include a preamplifier. It provides a stronger signal and a higher input impedance. That means it can handle lower level signals while not losing the sound quality. A good rule of thumb is active DI boxes for passive pickups, passive DI boxes for active pickups. Several common use cases for a DI box include recording DI simultaneously with an amped signal. DI boxes will typically have an instrument output, so you can record not only your amped signal, but your DI at the same time. Recording this way allows flexibility later on in the songwriting process if you choose to reamp and change your tones. For those of you who have ever tried to edit amped tones, you know how difficult this can be because it's just a single massive blob. So having a DI to edit alongside your amped tones is incredibly valuable. You can also send your signal over an extremely long distance. Instrument cables are susceptible to all sorts of noise. The longer the cable, the more noise gets into your signal. XLR cables shield your signal from that noise, so sending it through a DI box to pass through an XLR will keep your signal clean while it's traveling through the XLR cable. But more on that later. A DI box will allow you to take advantage of any interface with a preamp or other outboard gear that only takes XLR. In a lot of studios, the engineer will use specialized mic preamps or other hardware to color or alter the characteristic of the DI before it's recorded. For instance, using a DI box to record into this Audient mic pre rather than the JFET input would change the tone of your DI. It's also important to note that some DI boxes also alter the characteristics of the DI just by passing through them. A DI box can help with electrical interference. If you're getting electrical interference when connecting directly to your interface due to a ground loop, you can use a DI box to break the loop and clean up the noise. Now, it's important to note that the DI box won't clean up all noises. That being said, let's start getting into some of the things that a DI box won't do for you. Let's elaborate on what I just said as far as not eliminating all noise. A DI box can break a ground loop, and it'll keep your signal clean while traveling through the XLR cable, but it won't magically eliminate all noise from your signal. There are probably a half dozen sources of RFI noise within arm's reach of your setup, like LED lights, computer screens, Wi-Fi devices, and phones, just to name a few. Those will get picked up by your pickups regardless of how much shielding you have, or even if you have humbucker pickups. Then all that noise gets sent through with your signal. So if you're using a DI box and you're still dealing with a lot of noise, you may actually need to do something about the environment you're recording in. A DI box does not make you sound better. And this might be a hot take for some of you watching. Maybe you just bought one and it did make you sound better, but stick with me on this one. A DI box won't make you sound better, just different, depending on what you run your signal through. Whether this is a good change or not really depends on its application, because in the world of recording and mixing, context is king. It's entirely possible after buying a DI box, it changes your tone in a way that doesn't complement the overall sound of your song. It's also entirely possible that the change in tone may not reflect the actual investment you made in the new gear. Imagine if I made a video touting the Little Labs Red Eye DI box, which is $310 on Sweetwater, and you go out and purchase it and all it does is this. Do they sound the same? No. But do you think the difference is worth $310? And now some of you might actually say yes. And that is exactly the point I am trying to make. I want you to be intentional with your decisions and your purchases. For those of you that have the extra cash on hand, that want the options made available by a DI box, by all means, get yourself a good DI box, because having one on hand with the knowledge of how to get the best tone out of it is by far the best scenario. For those of you just starting on their recording journey that don't fall into needing a DI box for the stated uses, make sure you invest in a great interface first, and then when you have the extra gear, experience, and know-how, then invest in a good DI box. Thank you for checking out the video. If you're a guitarist that's looking for a way to actually improve your guitar tone, check out this video here on how to EQ your guitar like a pro.